Matchday 9 in La Liga EA Sports kicked off with the game between Leganes and Valencia at the stadium of Butarque. It was Friday night football under the lights in the capital. There was an honorary kickoff ahead of the game. Álvaro Martín Uriol, a double Olympic medalist over the summer and a Leganes fan at heart, was in charge of, as we say, that honorary kickoff. A game which Valencia got underway. And they had the first half chance of proceedings, if you will. Thierry Correa trying to find space in behind, but it was easily swept up by Marko Dimitrovic. Leganes were coming into this game with only one victory under their belt so far this season. Winless in their last 6 games coming into this fixture, but having picked up a point in each of their last 2 games in 2 1-1 draws. As for Valencia, as we say, they had their first chance of the game. They too have only won once this term, just winless in their last 2. Looking for their first points, though, away from Mestalla. Valentin Rossier, the Leganes right-back, was shown the first booking of the game as he took out Thierry Correa with this sliding challenge. Correa, who is normally a right-back himself, was playing on the left-hand side of a back 5 for Valencia due to the injury at left-back to not just José Gallá, but Jesus Vázquez as well. No out-and-out left-back available for Valencia. The second yellow was then handed out minutes later to the Valencia defender César Tárrega for pushing Seydou Cissé into the dugout there at Butarque. He felt that if it wasn't from a set piece, the opening goal wasn't really going to come. Luis Rioja with this strike from the edge of the box from a corner. Baraja was watching on nervously from the sidelines. Baraja, who in his career as a manager has never beaten Leganes, only faced them 3 times before this game. All 3 of those matches in the second tier of Spanish football. 2 0-0 draws and a 1-0 defeat during his periods at Elche and Real Zaragoza. His sides actually had never scored against Leganes, let alone beat them. Another yellow card would then be dished out for Ivan Neyu, who was a big doubt ahead of this game due to fitness concerns, but Borja Jimenez was happy with how he trained during the week and started him in the game. He was shown a yellow card for this challenge on Hugo Duro on the edge of the box. Hugo Duro himself still looking for his first goal since returning from injury. He would end up taking the free kick himself, but it's fair to say it wouldn't be his best effort. Straight off the wall and a fairly simple clearance for Sebastián Haller, who was leading the line for Leganes once again. Miguel de la Fuente having to wait on the sidelines. Rubén Baraja was slowly growing in frustration as the minutes went by. Obviously already images of the second half, second period that started with that free kick from Hugo Duro. And ultimately this chance would end with a very wayward shot from Thierry Correa. Concern for Baraja as his side actually had failed to score in each of their last 2 games in La Liga coming into this one, after a goalless draw at home against Osasuna and a 3-0 defeat away to Real Sociedad in their last La Liga fixture. Sebastián Haller was close to getting on the end of this strong cross into the box down the left from Javi Hernández, but it was the Valencia centre-half Cristian Mosquera who would lunge in to just block any potential shot. Sebastián Haller still waiting for his first goal in Spanish football yet to score since joining Leganes in the summer in that sensational loan move from Dortmund on the final day of the window. Roberto Lopez would then find Juan Cruz, and this was no doubt Leganes' best chance of the game up until that point. Juan Cruz, who is Leganes' top goal scorer this season. He's in fact scored 60% of the team's goals this season. Only Giovanni Lo Celso for Betis has a higher percentage than him. Lo Celso has scored 5 of Betis' 8. Juan Cruz has scored 3 of Leganes' 5, but he couldn't find the bottom corner on that occasion. The first couple of changes, one for either side, saw Diego Lopez for Valencia come on to replace Sergi Canos, who was making his first start of the season. And the first change for Leganes saw Miguel de la Fuente come on to replace Sebastián Haller up front. Bellu was obviously wearing the captain's armband in the middle of the park for Valencia, but it was his awkward pass that started this move for Leganes. Valencia coughing up possession fairly easily. Juan Cruz just somehow keeping the ball in play and then playing it back across, looking for Miguel de la Fuente, but it was actually Roberto Lopez who would get to the ball first and would put the shot wide of the goal. Juan Cruz would actually be named MVP of the game at the end of proceedings in what was a fairly quiet performance in terms of clear-cut chances. In fact, we had to wait until the 82nd minute for the first shot on target of the game. Second half much livelier than the first, but that's not too much to shout about. Juan Cruz again would try and cause some danger, cutting in from the right-hand side. He went down in the box asking for a penalty. Referee was having none of it, and it was in fact the right decision from the official on the day, Alejandro Quintero González. No penalty really on the Leganes winger. You can just see here when he cuts inside, beats Yarek, but it's actually his leg that goes in front of Thierry Correa's rather than the other way around. So quite clearly no penalty. Pepelu was then shown a yellow card himself for this challenge on Neu. Pepelu, a vital piece of the puzzle for Valencia, a man who played in 37 of Valencia's 38 La Liga matches last term. No midfielder, in fact, played more minutes than he did in La Liga EA Sports last season. But it was Diego Lopez who had the next chance for Valencia. A very clever first touch here, but his left-footed strike would go high and wide over the woodwork. Ivan Neu was then replaced by Darko Brasanac for the hosts, and then Andre Almeida would make way for Enzo Barrenechea, and Hugo Duro was replaced by Dani Gomez. Valencia had made the trip to Butarque, having lost all 4 of their away games so far this season, having only scored once as well. Diego Lopez scored in Valencia's first away game this season, a 3-1 defeat away to Celta. He would have another chance late on, but first it was Valentin Rossier who did well to go on this darting run through the Valencia back line, but his shot was ultimately dealt with nicely by Christian Mosquera. It was a game that slowly but surely, as the minutes went by, more chances would come, or half chances at least, on the counter-attack. But here, as we say, on 82 minutes would come the first shot on target of the game, and it wasn't really too difficult for Marko Dimitrovic to deal with. Diego Lopez, as we say, the only man who has scored away from Estalla for Valencia this season, was looking for his second of the campaign and the opener on the night, but despite getting the better of Javi Hernandez, could not get the better of Marko Dimitrovic. Germán Valera would then enter the fray for the visitors, replacing Luis Rioja. Dani Gomez put this shot wide of the back post in what was a great opportunity for Rubén Baraja's men to take a late lead in the game. Dani Gomez, who has only scored 1 goal this season in Valencia's only win this term, a 2-0 victory 3 games ago against Girona. Despite a good ball here from Diego López, the former Espanyol and Levante frontman was unable to pick out the top corner. Julián Chico, who would come on in the second half for Leganes, would then set up Miguel de la Fuente here, who was asking for a penalty, claiming he was pushed in the box. The referee again making the right decision, as not only was de la Fuente just offside, but there is no foul there from César Tárrega. Oscar Rodríguez had also come on as a late change made by Borja Jiménez, and he would actually hit the post in the final minutes after being set up by Roberto López. It looked like Mamardashvili had got his fingertips to it, but in fact it was the former Sevilla midfielder himself who would quite simply rattle the woodwork. That was the closest Leganes came to hitting the target. In fact, they failed to do so throughout the entire game. No goals at Butarque. Only 1 shot on target, but points shared. 0-0 between Leganes and Valencia.